some anniversary thereof. And welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you found me. Those of you that have been with me a while, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, spending time with me while we knit, while we chat, while we like all the lovely yarn that we see. And those of you that have just found me, so glad you're here. Welcome. You're always welcome here. If I can help you in any way, please contact me via email, recreationalknitting@gmail.com. You can also find me on Ravelry at samplergal. I have a Ravelry group, Recreational Knitting, and I can be found on Instagram, which I don't spend a lot of time on because it's so pretty over there with yarn and things. So, but I'm also over there at Recreational Knitting. I'm also on Reddit as samplergal, but I'm over there for knitting and politics and gardening and all the things. So, we have some administrative tasks that we need to take care of. So, buckle up. And then we'll get to the knitting. The first thing that I want to do is award that surprise prize to somebody. I asked Luke for a number. He gave me the number 14. I looked at the 14th comment on the last podcast, and it is Linda Nixon. Woohoo! And this is what she is winning from my stash, because it's Stash Be Gone. It's a beautiful Noro. Linda is an old friend of mine. Not that we're old, but we've known each other for a number of years. And we have many acquaintances from the past that we share. And she is from my hometown, basically, as well. And yeah, it was totally not a setup. And this is some Noro. I believe this is the Curion sock yarn. Linda's a master sock knitter. I know this will get good use. But also, this is a Madeline Tosh Merino Light. And they kind of go together. So I'm waiting to see what Linda makes with that. Linda has made some gorgeous things over the years. She used to own a quilt shop in our little hometown. And I learned a lot from her. And she's an amazing person. She went north, I went south to retire. So congratulations, Linda Nixon. Woo-hoo-hoo. Welcome. That's our first administrative task. Second administrative task. We are in the middle of February, Frog It or Finish. Those of you that have just found us, please feel free to join in. What we have done is we have gone through all of our whips. If you have 5 or 26, yeah. Where's the other thing of this? Oh, it's right here in front. No wonder I couldn't find it. We went through our whips. We decided what did not bring us joy was going to get frogged, rip it. And I frogged 5. I don't know how many you frogged, but I'm hoping that you've reclaimed a little bit of yarn or you've decided to finish it. Now, you don't need to finish it in February. You just need to commit that you're going to finish it at some point in time. Now, you can do this periodically. You don't need to just wait for February, but you know, after you get a few whips done, you can go through them again and go, you know, thought I was going to finish this. Don't think I'm going to. This looks like it needs to be a hat, and this does not need to be part of a sweater at this point. So feel free to jump in. There really aren't any prizes or anything for this. This is just a kind of like a focus on, do we really want to do this? So that's our first little make along, do along, bring it to your attention along. And we have a couple year-long alongs. The first one being Whip Be Gone, and I'll put it right here. Hashtag Whip Be, no E, Gone 2024. The rules are anything that was cast on before New Year's Day of this year qualifies. I don't care what craft it is. It can be quilting, it can be knitting, it can be crocheting, it can be beadwork, it can be samplers, it can be embroidery, it can be potholders. It can be whatever you want it to be. And you finish it within this year. There is a Ravelry thread under my recreational knitting that you can post your pictures to. I suggest that you do that as soon as possible. That I was doing this for another along Top It Off Mal through Mandy Makes and Belinda's Baubles. I had forgotten that I had 2 finished objects, and I went and posted those last week. So yeah, so double dipping, triple dipping, quadruple dipping, because I know a lot of people are working down stash this year and working on, if it qualifies for them as well, do it. Try to win a prize. Prizes are good. Yeah, they are. So that's the first. Whip Be Gone 2024. The second is Stash Be Gone 2024. Now, the expectations are that you're not going to knit through your stash this year. If you do, congratulations. Next year is your year. You may have the credit card and go wild. Yeah. But the point is, we're working from our stash. And most of us have more than we'd like, probably. And it starts to weigh you down. Objects start to weigh you down. Now, in my 20s and 30s, it was about acquisition. My 40s and 50s, it was about use and, you know, do I really need this? Pass it along to, you know, maybe somebody that's just gotten their first apartment, you know, kind of start to, you know, upgrade or clean out. And now in my 60s, I have what I need and I'm ready to use it. And so that's where I'm at. It's really starting to make me feel like I have 100 pounds on each shoulder. So I want to knit from it. It brought me joy when I purchased it, and it's going to bring me joy while I knit it. And if it doesn't, then it needs to move on. That's how I look at it. I did a set of 3 videos that you're welcome to go back and check if you're new, about strategies that might help you think in different ways. On what your stash should be doing for you, what you might need to help you get moving. Things that you may or may not already do and think about, but I'd go check them out and see if any of the suggestions might help you. So we're Stash Be Gone 2024. I'll put it right here. Again, the B is only a B, not a BE. Stash, hashtag Stash Be Gone 2024. So those are the all year running, and there will be prizes. There will be prizes at the end. There will be prizes intermittently. Keep track of however you want to for the Stash Be Gone. If you want to keep track, I use Knitometer. A lot of people just write down, you know, 2 skeins for this scarf, 7 skeins sweater, you know, whatever it is, meterage, yardage, however you keep grams, whatever. However you would keep track of that. And if you'd like to go on Ravelry and just record it, you know, at the end of each month, I knit this much, I crocheted this much, I got rid of 25 yards of quilt fabric, whatever it is. So yeah, we're all there to help clap and support each other. So those are the two things that we're doing all year. Now, March 1st, we're going to start a knit along because it's a knit pattern. Excuse me while I reach. And it's the Wisdom of the Moon shawl. And this is a terrible black and white picture of it. There's a beautiful picture of a lavender and white and gray piece on there on Ravelry. And this is a free pattern. It really is. And it is by Liz Capik, C-A-P-I-K. If you can't remember, like me, what the name of the shawl is as you go to Ravelry. But it's 60 inches wingspan. Join us. We're working from stash. I'll show you what I'm working from. These are stash yarns. This is a trendsetter. This is a brown sheep wool. And I found, when I did a black and white photo of the gray that I had picked last week, between that and this, there was no contrast. And that seems to be the issue there with the original pattern. So I wanted to make more of a contrast. So I found these leftovers in my stash. And this is Dirty Panther by Madelinetosh. This is my favorite color. I used to have like 3 skeins of it, and I've used it not in any garments but as a little stripe here and there, you know, not for just using it. So I've used like almost 1,000 yards of this. And this is all I have left, unless I've missed it in there. But those 3 are obviously a better match. And then, let me put the white down. This is a Malibrigo Arroyo. I made a Hokey Locatelli shawl from this, which my daughter has pilfered, which is fine. That's the second one that I'll use. And then this is a variegated yarn. It's probably too light for really what I want to use, but when we go through the pattern, I'll figure it out if that's really what I want to use. So these together are about 70 grams. So I'm hoping this is all I need. And if not, then I'll go back to the original brown sheep yarn. And so there will be, you know, 3 or 4 colors of gray within that shawl. I'm fine with it. So those are my colors, all from stash, and hoping to eliminate those 3 balls and a couple of these. So join us. It will run for, I think, 3 months. That will give us plenty of time to finish it, and then we'll have another finished project in between all the other whips that we're trying to use. And there will be a prize, but it needs to be from stash. And I'm just trusting you to be honest, because that's what knitters are. We're just honest. So, oh, I'm wearing some kind of little 1 skein shawlette that I made years and years and years and years ago. This is made out of English Rose. Is it Malibrigo? Or Madelinetosh? Malibrigo. I get the 2 confused because they're both beautiful. Don't know, it's fingering weight of some sort, but I think this is called English Rose or Vintage Rose. Yeah, one skein. Don't know what the pattern is. It may or may not be on my Ravelry page. All right. Is that all the administrative stuff at this point? I know I still owe sock yarn for the sock tutorial from last year. Haven't gotten that far yet, but I will. All right, let's go on to knitting and all the things. I have a finished object, and this is a whip that I had totally forgotten about, and it's really not knitting. Those of you that were with me during Christmas, during Vlogmas, know that I did a bunch of these. Well, this I had started and never finished. And I was looking for stuff within my cabinet here and found, oh, I started this, never finished it. It was about halfway done with the warp, or I don't know which way it was, but I said, let's finish this up and get it done. I'll send this to my oldest daughter, along with some washcloths that I made her out of cotton. So yeah, that's my finished object for the week. And it's not knitting. Yes, this is a knitting podcast. That is by Harrisville Designs. It's called, oh, let's see, what is it called? It's called some kind of loom that they make, and it's the bigger one. Pro loom? No. Pro size. Anyway, I had a bunch of the loops, and it took me back to my Girl Scout days, and when we moved here, we lost a bunch of things in the move. Don't know exactly where they are, but some of them were kitchen linens, and all my pot holders were in there. You know, I had the mitts and, you know, anyway, so we had nothing to pull anything out of the oven. So I ordered this from Harrisville Designs and quickly made some pot holders. And yeah, here we are. So now I have a loom that I don't know what I'm going to do with. All right, let's get to the real stuff, the real knitting. I have been on a monogamous kick, even though it's been more than one project. How, you say? Socks. Well, that's not entirely true either. I lied about that too. You'll see my muscle bra, muscle burrow, muscle bra, muscle. All of you said, this is how you say it. Yeah, everybody says it differently. I watched a Ysolda Teague, and she calls it the muscle burrow. So I'm assuming she knows what she's talking about. She's the designer. So it's not really monogamous sock knitting if you're knitting on a hat. All right, this is my one sock that I showed you a couple times ago, all right? And this is, it's mate. I think the last time I showed you I was here, so I've made a little bit of progress. 3x1 rib, not on the sole of the foot though. That drives me crazy. Yeah, I have to have stockinette. I've tried garter. Oh, no, that's not good. So anyway, it's a sensory thing. This yarn is Lorna Lace's, and you know that she no longer dyes. But if you can find some of her yarn somewhere, it's wonderful. Great sock yarn. And that I'm keeping in my little sock bag that I got on Etsy. No idea who made it, but I love it. It's my only real sock bag. All right. I think I showed you the finished one last week because there's no marker on it. So I think I showed you this. This is the Preakness colorway, and it's a 3x1 rib, which apparently was my go-to vanilla at that point in time when I was casting all these on. These were all found in storage bins from Fort Lauderdale when we lived there before we went on our 4-year RV trip. So I don't remember buying the yarn, where I bought it, don't remember much about it, including how to cast on toe-up socks without Judy's Magic Cast On. Yeah, so that's been an ordeal. This is Snallygaster Fibers. At this point, she was dyeing in Baltimore. This was a local yarn to me at that point. And there is now, oh, I see a purl stitch there where it shouldn't be. These are for me. This is where I was last week. And so I've done all that. There is now a Snallygaster yarn in New York State. I don't know if it's the same dyer, but if it is, I would recommend at least looking at her. It's a Preakness colorway, and Preakness is a horse race in Baltimore, part of the Triple Crown. And for those of you that are new, that may not know this, the winning horse gets, I still don't know what it's called, a ring of Black-Eyed Susans, which is the Maryland state flower. And yellow and black, and of course green flower, you know, the leaves, and there's a little bit of white in there. Black-Eyed Susans come into season late July, 1st of August in Maryland, and so they always have to use yellow daisies and dye the inside of the flower black. May come up in a trivia game at a bar sometime, just saying. Keeping this in a souvenir monarch knitting on the Monterey Peninsula in Pacific Grove, California. And that was bought during our trip. Lovely shop during the pandemic. They were very nice. It was a nice shop. I wish it were one of my local shops. All right, finished a hoe. This is where I was the last time. This was supposed to be a 1x1 rib sock. Well, I got to here, and obviously I was talking or doing something, and it went to stockinette. Oh well, because usually that's how I knit my socks, is stockinette. I just like it. Tried this on, fits like a glove. And I look at this, and a lot of this is TV knitting where the room is darkened. And I'm not going to look too close, and I'm not going to show you because there are some issues. But my socks, I don't care. This is my daughter's monkey socks, I'm calling them. I think I was here last time I showed you. I still have to do the cut-in heel for this first one. She has tiny feet, size 5, maybe 5.5. Little feet, little narrow feet. So yeah, and have not cast on the second one yet, because this is the one that I don't know how to cast it on yet. It wasn't done with Judy's Magic Cast On. So, socks, 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 socks. Now I'll show you my doctor's appointment knit that I started a couple weeks ago, just so that I'd have something to knit at my doctor's appointments this past couple of weeks and next week. So I think this is where I was last week when I showed you, right here. And so, yeah, made some significant progress. This has been car knitting plus doctor's room knitting. So yeah, I've made significant progress. Not finished. I think this is now 54 grams. I didn't weigh it before, so I'm hoping it was at least 100 grams. So my next row is going to be a pearl row. I heard that that's supposed to help with the folding of it. And then it'll be the second side. This is yarn that is beautiful. It's called Henry's Attic, and I'll just put it up there. It's 90% merino, and 10% tussa silk. It is probably some of this, I think it's probably the softest yarn I've ever worked with. And of course I only had one skein of it. So this is for a friend that's going on a cruise in Scotland, Ireland, UK, Wales. And she doesn't really realize that she needs some heavy duty hats and gloves. So I'm making her a couple hats. This is the first one. All right. I found one more bag of the, what do we call this? Seal meal. This is how I kept my yarn for the most part in storage. These are the vacuum sealed bags that you put your meats in before you put them in the freezer. I use them for yarn, used them for yarn when we put all our things in storage in Fort Lauderdale. Florida is known for bugs. Bugs and yarn don't mix. So this is what I did. And for the most part, I say 95% of them held the vacuum seal. It was operator error when they didn't. I just opened these up, and these are from Knit Picks. Don't know whether they are still available or not. They are Imagination Arabian Nights, and they're 50 grams each. And what's the content? Yeah, wool, 50% wool, 25% alpaca, 25% nylon, and there's 219 yards in one. So yeah, I thought it's awful fuzzy for just wool and sock yarn. So who knows, that might end up in my Wisdom of the Moon shawl somewhere. What do you think? Maybe. We'll think about that. That might be nice. Okay, little chat. You can pick up knitting if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. Thanks for sticking with me. This is crazy. I talked to you last week about my broken Swift. Well, this is it. It's beautiful, but it's broken. It doesn't work well. It's missing 2 of these things, and it doesn't come out any further than that, even when you raise that. So it really messes up, and then it won't stay. So it's broken. I've gotten my refund. They don't want me to send this back. It's costly to send back. So this may be a decorative piece at some point. I think it's beautiful. But this was my attempt to purchase a beautiful Swift at a bargain basement price. The real Swift that I want cost over $180, and it's made in Europe somewhere, and it's gorgeous, and it's, you know, bigger than this, and yarn shops use it, and I don't need it, and I can't afford it. So this was my attempt to cut corners. Yeah, don't cut corners. Anyway, one of my beautiful skeins of yarn is now in like 10 or more little balls of varying lengths. Yeah, would not recommend. So I have this beautiful piece that I can just sit someplace on a shelf, and people will walk in and they'll go, "What's that?" And I'll say, "It's a Swift." You put your yarn around it and it makes it into a cake. It's really not functional. The Swift that I have currently that I use is the cheapest plastic and metal, and I'm sure you've seen them. Mine is blue. I've seen them in different colors, and you probably own one or not, but you know somebody and have seen them. So, and it worked fine on our 4-year trip, even though one of the little metal clips, even after trying several different fixes, would still catch on yarn about every 30, 40 rotations, which may not seem much, but if you're doing, you know, 4 or 5 skeins of yarn, hanks of yarn, you know, it starts to get on you. So, yeah, so I decided, okay, I'm saving all this money not buying yarn this year. I'm going to buy a nice Swift, hence the one that I just showed you that doesn't work. Okay, so I really went to a reputable store, purchased Leaky Likey Loki. There's the new muscle bra. Yeah. Make happy, okay? It makes me happy, especially when I opened it up and saw, oh, isn't that beautiful? Is it not gorgeous? And it is a clamp-on version, which I really did not want, but it is what it is. This is very heavyweight. I thought, oh, this is great. Until I saw this. And so it's broken. And then the clamp that goes in it has been broken. And this is the angle of the wood. So it really doesn't clamp on to anything. So Luke would have had to saw, file, whatever, or I could have. But yeah, it's a beautiful Swift, but it's broken. There you can see. He's going to see if he can try to do a fix of some sort. But if you do anything permanent to that, of course, it won't fold down. So with all these Swifts, my question to you, does that make me a Swiftie? Yeah, corny, but yeah. I now own 3 Swifts, none of which work right. The good news is I contacted the place where I purchased this. They said, oh, let me talk to my distributor. So the distributor got back to me a couple hours later, and they said, what's your address? We'll send you a new one. So hopefully this coming week, I'll have one just as beautiful as this, only in working order. And we don't even have a fireplace. I mean, I don't know. Does anybody know how to fix that? Because if you do, you know, I'm sure that somebody could use this, since they're sending me, hopefully, one that isn't broken. But yeah, it's definitely broken. So if you have a fix for that, let me know. I was so excited. We came home, I guess it was Thursday. We'd been somewhere, forget. Anyway, this box was here, and I go, oh yes. And I was going to film this podcast on Friday morning and open this up with you. And I go, well, let me open up and get rid of the crinkles. And I did that on Friday morning. Put my lipstick on, ready to roll. And I go, wait a minute. What's this? And I was a little bummed out. So now I'm a Swiftie because I have Swifts all over the place. It's very pretty though. again, do I want to have a collection of broken Swifts? Like, yeah. So, yeah, it's been a week. So that's all I have for this week. I'm going to be going to my new local yarn shop and go yarn spending. Luke got me a gift card for Christmas, and I haven't been there yet. And today is supposed to be the Daytona 500, and it's raining here, so it's been postponed till tomorrow. So probably on Tuesday, that's where I'll be headed to spend my money. And next time I'll show you some new acquisitions, because, you know, Christmas gift card money doesn't count against you, right? Yes. Anyway, so that's been my week. Just want to catch up with your stash, your whips, all of the things. We've already talked about how you can enter for prizes. We've already talked about that, but I hope that it's mid-February, and I'm hoping that you have done your best as far as not purchasing yarn just because it's on sale, hoping that you're at least trying to be intentional with your purchases if you are purchasing. I'll just tell you of one of the things that I did this week, which last week. I opened up the app Etsy. I was going to buy Luke something for his birthday. And there's all the yarn, because, you know, that's all I look at on Etsy is the yarn. And it's that first page that comes up and just, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's on sale. It's, you know, I need it. And I didn't buy it. Good job. Be careful out there. There's always somebody that's pulling you in. I liken it to a drug deal, you know? Come on. It'll make you feel good, but it really doesn't. It'll make you feel better when you don't purchase it, unless you have a reason to purchase it. I think, as I said a couple podcasts ago, I had to buy extra yarn for the cardigan that I'm making, because initially I wasn't making a cardigan with the wool. So I had to purchase another skein of it to make sure that I had enough. Those kinds of purchases are great, and that will be great. So, hoping that you're doing well, avoiding all the pretty things. And it's very difficult when we are in a culture that exploits people, consumers, for many ways that they exploit us. But one of the ways is making things look beautiful, making them far more attractive in photography than they are in real life. Filtering things, there are all kinds of studies, how to lure new customers into the stores, and it's out there on the daily for us. And social media is a real problem. And that's why I'm not on Instagram too much, because it's too pretty over there. Yes, so I have not purchased anything except for the Swifts, all the Swifts that I'm collecting apparently. And yeah, so it's hard to avoid all that. And if you must, for whatever reason, decide that this is how I want to go, make sure it's going to bring you joy. Whether it's through, hey, I got a bargain at the thrift store, you know, my $3 sweater that I'm going to cast on soon. Yeah, go for it. If that's going to bring you joy, I'm all for it. But knowing intentionally what it's going to be used for, I think, is a part of it. And I think that's where all of us have gotten into trouble over the years, is Nitpicks has a sale, you know how it goes. It's what it is. And I'm all for supporting the small business, and we'll be back. I plan to go shopping at my local knit store, and hopefully there will be some local dyers that are there that are new to me, that I can find something that I really like and need and want and have a plan for. And I think just thinking about what it is we need in maybe our wardrobe, what it is we really want to knit, and will this be used within the next year or so? And I think if you ask yourself those questions, you can be honest about your purchases and say, okay, I really don't need this now. And you know what? It's okay. I have plenty of joy within my own stash that I can knit from. It's very hard, very, very hard. But you can only do your best, whatever that best might be. Don't kick yourself if you broke down. Get it, totally get it. I got a surprise email from a company that has beautiful yarn on cones, and they almost got me. Etsy almost got me. But for the moment, I'm doing okay. Everything's still bringing me joy, although I'm really kind of getting sick of socks. But I will finish these whips in progress. Yeah, I will. I will. I've got one sock finished, and as you remember, when I first showed them to you, they only had some toes on them, I think. So yeah, so now I have 4 finished socks. Shame they're not 2 pairs, right? I just get tired of looking at the same socks. Yeah, be great if I could keep to one thing. This week, I think I'm going to concentrate on my Tiff Nealon Vibes t-shirt, and it only needs sleeves, and the sleeves are only going to come to here for me. So I think I can pull that off or get close. So that's going to be, I'm going to take a hiatus from some sock knitting. I'm going to take my muscle burrow to my doctor's appointments and work on the Tiff Nealon sweater. So what are your plans? How many whips have you completed since this all started? I'd like to hear from you. There may be a prize. Yes, tell me how many whips you've finished, how much stash is gone, however you report that, whether it's meterage, yardage, skeins, grams, however you do that. And what are your intentions for knitting this week? Do you have one project that I'm going to work on this until it's finished? Or are you working like I did this past week on 4 pairs of socks? Yeah, we've all done it. Anyway, I hope your week is filled with love. I hope it's filled with joy. I hope that you're starting to collect your tax information and getting that together, because as we know, that's right around the corner here in the United States. And I hope that you get a refund because of it. Yeah. And I really hope that we get more hostages released, that we get some peace in the world, Knit in peace.